Hi everyone, it's Jerry. This is game 9 from the FIDE Women's World Chess Championship match 2025. Ju Wenjun with the white pieces here. Big lead over Tan Zhongyi 6-2 in this race to 6.5. Opens yet again with e4, and we have another Sicilian Defense. We follow game 7, Rossolimo Attack. We follow game 7 up until this moment here. Game 7, we saw d4. This time around, rook e1. So this square is now opened up for the bishop. Has a nice fallback square, just going back home once questioned. Knight d4, knight exchange, and the invasive pawn immediately challenged. Bishop questioned, and there you go. Falls back home. Stays out of the way of any of the white pieces. Things are cool. Rook is happy, productive, doing something here in the center. Knight c6 follows. Knight a3. Wouldn't really be a good idea to chop here on d4. You're helping black improve. As soon as you take on d4, d4 becomes a hole. It's knight a3 with the idea of knight c2 to increase the pressure here. Black continues with bishop e7. If you go ahead and chop the knight, this would not be a good idea. Keep in mind what bishop exactly this is for black. Pretty much the good bishop. If you're giving up that dark square bishop, there's these big gaps in black's camp. May be attractive to play in this way as black because you're saddling white with double isolated pawns here on the A file and even the C file, but computer does not like this for black. It's calling this +1. These squares here very sensitive now for black. A4, bishop a3. That's going to be a really irritating piece to handle for black, the dark square bishop. So black's approach here is to simply take one step there with the dark square bishop. Knight c2 follows. d5, and knight takes d4. So the knights are quickly off the board in this game. D takes e4 follows. And this here is what I would identify as the most instructive moment, really, of this game. Follow-up from this point is d3. Now, it's easy to actually go wrong here. It may be attractive here to say, okay, I'll just go ahead and capture this pawn and play a position where I'm up a pawn and I only need a draw to secure the match to reach the 6.5 point. But you would actually be worse now playing like this as white because black would win the race to the most important square in the position. That square being d5, the square that blockades white's isolated pawn, or isolated pawns in this case. From this position, black has b5 and is one move out. Bishop b7 with tempo, gets on that diagonal with tempo, eyes d5. Why is this square so important? Well, if you control that d5 square, you're essentially controlling the isolated pawn or pawns. They're not as effective. How are things different with the move played in the game? Well, with the d3, we have the capture on d3. If black is taking with the queen here, okay, we take with the pawn. The structure is balanced. Queens are in tension. Life is good there for white. Black takes on d3. How are things different in this position? Well, with the bishop recapturing, black is not fast enough to get on the main diagonal. You try b5 here, boom, bishop e2. White is there first, fighting for that most important square. And there would be a nice benefit on top of it. Just happen to be throwing a punch at the rook as well. So white, well aware of this fight over that important d5 square, pursuing this line with d3. Black castles this pawn poison. Was poison one move earlier because of the check. The queen hangs. Bishop e4 from here. Bishop f6, some security over d4. g6, and from here, queen b3 is played. Only needing a draw, you could pursue this line here. You could try something else. There's a more fighting way with rook to c1, but in playing queen to b3, you're pretty much saying you have to take this pawn now, or you're just going to be worse. This is considered the best move, looking at a level position. If you don't play in this way, if you don't pick up the pawn, white could maybe play d5 now. b2 is secure. White is for choice. Look at the lead in development. So you have to try. Bishop takes d4 here, and this is now going to spark a series of exchanges. We're going to be pulled straight into an ending now. Dark square bishops off. D pawn a target, you cannot hang on to it. Queen questioned. Queen takes d4. There we go. Ending on board. This is a strong piece. Immediately challenged. Rook on f to d8. White doubles up on the d file. And rook a to c8. So from here we have king to f1. Don't take the bishop here. You're going to lose. Rook takes rook. You can't recapture. Back rank mates. King takes a step over. Rook to d6. Bishops exchanged. And a pair of rooks exchanged. So material balanced. Very active white rook. Things are very good here for white. Only needing the draw. g4. Many approaches at this point. You could immediately put pressure on the pawn. That's cool. All right, a square has opened up for the king. Maybe even a thought of clamping down on a couple dark squares. Kind of boxing that king in. King takes a step out. Rook b7. h5. Getting another pawn exchange in is good. That's what we have at this point. If black is trying to make, this is like one little test you could run here. If black is maybe trying to go for something like this, it's just not going to work. As soon as you step foot here, white picks off a pawn, another pawn, and is even there in time to even land a check and be in a spot to defend the b pawn if you really wanted to do that. So not so easy to try and get this king over here and gobble up a couple pawns. This rook does cut off the king from trying to defend these pawns over here, but it's just not there for black. The try here is with h5, exchanging pawns, improving the king further, h4. What do you try here as black? King f5. You have to try and get the king in the ball game, but there is no try really left here. The rook immediately comes over here to target the pawn, and there is now no better than king to g6. We're going to end up repeating here shortly. What I want to point out is that if black does something else, let's say keeps the king here and let's say puts the rook on d6, you're not making progress. A healthy move or two for white in such a case would be f3 and b3. I'm drawing just a little bit of attention to this point here because there is a way you could go wrong. Normally you want to stagger your pawns so it'll, the rook can't collect them back to back. But you're going to want to stay away from one particular pawn move here as white. If you go with a3, that would give black the opportunity to land a check and then play rook to b3. And the roles will be much different between the rooks. B pawn defended, white's b pawn will fall. So there's just one little detail there if there was some shuffle, but we don't see a shuffle with the rook in this case. Instead, we have this repetition with king f5, rook h7. We repeat moves, and this game 9 ends peacefully. This was a dominant performance by Ju Wenjun. At one point behind in the match, 1.5. Well, she turned that around real quick, finishing 6.5, 2.5. Performance rating for her, 27-21. And this is now her 5th consecutive Women's World Chess Championship title. She joins a very short list of female players who have won the title 5 or more times. What are your thoughts on this game, on this match as a whole? Feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.